So, make sure you have turned in or will turn in after the quiz classifying angles, as well as the other assignment, which is kind of a long name, segment and angle addition and classification. Okay, that one was the one we were doing yesterday. So again, when you finish your quiz, you can be finishing stuff that you had not finished yet, right? So on the warm-up, your quiz today is similar to these type of problems. Number one, the first thing we want to do is name the pair. So on number one, we have two angles that make a right angle. What do we call them when they add up to 90 degrees? Okay? Yes, complementary. Remember, like Miss Marrero told us, it is the right thing to do to give all types of compliments. Y'all look so nice today, right? That's a compliment. It's the right thing to do. That'll help you remember. Complementary is right. It's 90 degrees. Okay? So, on number one, complementary. And then, if I know they add up to 90, how do I figure out x if one of them's 39? We're going to subtract, yes. So 90 minus 39 is 51 degrees. Okay. Cool. And now we'll move on to number two. On number two, we have two angles here. First, let's talk about the naming it. What do you call these two angles if they make a straight line on the bottom? What do we call that? Okay, we call it a line, but the two angles are called a linear pair. Okay, they make a line, linear pair, right? So linear pair is correct. What else could we call these two angles if they make that straight line? How many degrees is a straight line? 180. So what do we call it when two angles add up to 180? Okay, good. Supplementary. Look at number one. That was complementary for 90. Supplementary is when they add up to 180. Okay? Supplementary. All right. So we have the name of this pair. We just said they add up to 180 degrees because they're a straight line. Right? So now we have to ask ourselves, what do we do? Half the battle is setting it up. Okay, so there's usually two scenarios. Either they add up to something, or they're equal to each other. So let's take that second one. Do these angles look equal to each other? Okay, I'd say no because, yeah, on the left it's obtuse, and on the right it's acute, looking at the size of those angles. So we are not going to put an equal sign between them. Instead, if you remember the notes from Friday, I summarized it in this one statement. Part plus part equals whole. Y'all remember that? Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. This part on the left plus this part on the right equals the whole thing, which is a straight line. So when we set it up, that's how we set it up, right? Part plus part equals whole. So let's do that. So I'm going to set it up over here. 3x minus 17 plus 2x plus 22 equals 180 degrees. Any questions with how I set that up? Today on the quiz, if you have something like this with two parts that make a straight line, that's how you're going to set it up. Part plus part equals 180. Now, on the left side of the equal sign, there's all this junk. It'd be nice if it was simpler, right? So we're going to simplify. The 3x and the 2x together makes 5x, because we're adding them together. Negative 17 plus 22 gives me a positive 5. And if you're not sure, you can always use your calculator. Negative 17 plus 22 is 5. Bring down 180. And now it's just a two-step problem. Okay? I need to get rid of my loner first, which is the positive 5. I'm going to subtract 5. So 5x equals 175. And what would my last step be to get rid of that coefficient? Okay, divide. So when I divide by 5, x is going to equal 35. Okay? Again, when you set these up and you're adding multiple things, you're going to probably have to end up combining some like terms first. Once you combine like terms, it's a little bit easier to go from there. Okay? Number 3, what do we call these angles that are across from each other? Okay? They're called vertical angles. Today on your quiz, you might have some vertical angles, and you know they're vertical if they're across from each other. Not next to each other. They're not linear pairs, but they're across from each other. So this angle and this angle are across from each other. Are they going to add up to something, or are they equal? What do y'all think? Okay, equal, yes. So if they're vertical angles, we know they are what we call congruent. They're equal. So essentially, I'm doing that. This time I'm not going to add them. I'm putting an equal sign between them, right? I call that setting them equal. So let's do that. 2x plus 1 equals 4x minus 18. Once I set that up, then I can solve it, okay? So again, equal angles, set them equal. If I'm going to solve this, what's my strategy when x is on both sides? Okay, does everyone remember this from the first 2 weeks of warm-ups? If x is on both sides, get rid of the smaller x, which is 2x. So the opposite is subtracting 2x on both sides. Bring down 1 equals 4 minus 2 is 2x. Bring down minus 18. And now I have a two-step equation, right? On the right side, my loaner is minus 18. So I'll add 18, add 18. 1 plus 18 is 19, which equals 2x. And then my last step is to divide by the coefficient. Now, if you got this far, you may have thought, what's going on here? Because 19 over 2 is not a whole number. Okay? If you type it in the calculator and press Control-Enter, you're going to end up getting 9.5. But either way, whether you leave it as a fraction or as a decimal, that's the answer. Sometimes decimals or fractions, those answers are okay. Hint on today's quiz, if you get a fraction, as long as you showed all your work correctly and you know you didn't mess up your work, that's the answer. Okay? So don't be afraid to get a fraction as an answer. Okay? Number 4, you are going to have 3 of these when they are segments. So I want to remind you, the notes from Friday is summarized in this phrase. The part plus the part equals the whole, right? Now, I know this part over here on the left, AB, is 2x plus 4. I know the other part, BC, is x minus 7. But if I look at the picture, AC is not labeled. On the quiz today and on this warm-up, you have to look around. Sometimes typed out there is information you need. And over here off to the right, I did provide you with some information. AC is 24. So guess what? Down here for AC, 24. Okay? Sometimes it's not in the picture. You have to read the instructions. And on the quiz, they may be off to the right, so make sure you look for information. Okay? So let's set up and solve number 4 real quick. If I can get this, there we go.
Is that number 24?
So we're going to set it up the same way we did number 2. Part plus part equals the whole, which, yes, is 24. So my first part, AB, is 2x plus 4. My second part, BC, is x minus 7. And that equals the whole thing we just said was 24. And then we're going to solve this the same way we did number 2. I'm going to do it a little bit faster because we've already done this before. Okay? So we combine like terms. 2x and 1x is 3x. Combine like terms. 4 minus 7 is negative 3. And then from there we get rid of our loaner by adding 3. And we get 27. And then our last step is to get rid of that coefficient by dividing. Okay, so I know we did that a little quick because we've done these before. We did one just like it on number 2. Part plus part equals whole.